Well, hello, everybody. I want to welcome you to today's edition of Cannabis Radio Live. It is, believe it or not, March the 8th. And oh my God, time is ticking away pretty quick. George, how are you, by the way? Good God, I missed you last week.
I know. I had to go and hold the fort by myself. It's doing okay. I got to ask you, it's spring break down here in South Florida. I've been seeing all the videos and stuff going on. Figure you're not too far from the action yourself.
Not too far from the action, which actually says just enough to let you know I'm just a hair out of the action, which is kind of where you want to be, right? Because the traffic is insane. You get down near Fort Lauderdale Beach right now, and you don't want to be in a car because you're not going anywhere for an hour or two. It's crazy. So yeah. We are on top of spring break, and
that's the rest of the month.
That is the rest.
You want to avoid it at all costs if you can. So yeah, Uber your way in across the bridges. Uber your way in.
Big shout out to Dave Wisniewski. Just joined the chat. How are you, buddy?
Yes,
we got a big show ahead for everybody today. We're gonna, of course, hit the top cannabis highlights, the news and events and stuff, all that's going on. We can talk about that. But we have an important show today because, of course, there's all kinds of craziness going on in the world. Of course, with a madman with his finger on a trigger over in Russia. We're actually going to spend a few minutes and talk to a friend of ours who is over in Ukraine, and we're going to get a firsthand account of what's going on over there and what that's like. So we're super excited for that. Brasco, where are we at today, brother?
Well, we start with something that's Russia-Ukraine related because there was a story that came back about one of the WNBA players that was arrested in Russia with vape cartridges, and she's being detained right now. And there's not been a whole lot of great information about this so far.
This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. First off, it's understandable, right? Like here's somebody who is from a recreational state that obviously had a couple carts, whatever. He was traveling. This is nothing new. This happens all over the world today, right? Carts are, this is a thing of everyday life for a cannabis smoker. So I find it, kind of ill timing, either ill timing or they decided they wanted to take a moment to, maybe jab us in the ribs just a little bit. Yeah, exactly.
Make an example of us. And, she's been playing overseas, playing professional basketball over there. So they found in her carry-on luggage vape cartridges, and they contain cannabis oil. So that was enough for them to say Federal Customs said, okay, we're going to get it searched. Also, there's a video of it. I don't know if Ricky wants to go and our producer wants to go and show it real quick. I put a link in there. But, that's what's being said. And at the moment, she was taken into custody. A criminal case has been opened. Wow. And the sentence could be 10 years behind bars in Russia. So this is serious for her. It's serious.
Wow. I'm baffled. Like, quite honestly, I don't think that's really what's going on here. I think it has to do with the sanctions, quite honestly.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is a power play. This is a chess game. We shouldn't be in the first place. I mean, I've been trying to avoid all this kind of news like the plague, just because you could just see it. We've had enough history that we have people that are in power that they don't realize history is doomed to repeat itself if you don't correct what's going on. That's where we are again.
Yeah.
So next up, there is some great news in a couple of different countries, rather. Israel now looking to decriminalize adult use cannabis. So they're trying to put a bill together to make that happen.
Well, this is good. Israel has, in my opinion, led the world in cannabis research and in their progressive thinking, which hails from the beginning, right there at the government, right? Like the government has to sign off on all this, and the fact that the Israeli government did that in the first place years ago, put Israel in the place that they are right now, which is out front, with respect to all the medical research. Now they want to go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off and say decrim. Perfect. Like, way to go, Israel.
It would be decriminalizing use, expunging criminal records for those convicted of the past in the majority of cases. So that's a win-win for all. If that happens, that's great news, especially in Israel, where there's so much great research that we get from on a regular basis. I wish it just got more cred in the States as we hear about it. The other story as well is France is now looking to enter medical marijuana. They're finally going to get themselves in. There was a decree issued by the French government authorizing cultivation of medical cannabis and development of the industry, and the decree was entered into force March 1st. Regulators need to implement it, but there we go. And medical marijuana to France. There we go.
Merci
beaucoup.
I love a few of my Frenchmen. For the most part, though, Parisians, those guys, those are hard people to get along with. God bless them, though. Look, I think if France can get it done, get it done. Everywhere that they could get this done, the sooner the better. Really, someone should be running up to Putin and rolling out the giant bong, of course, the biggest bong that ever existed, and smoke that shit with Putin. For fuck's sake, that guy needs a big bong, if anything. That's just me. Now, I do have a question in the chat from John Spagnoli. Explain to me why the pot is crap despite big THC numbers. Well, so that's kind of a wide question, John. If you could clarify for me, like, where you at? What state are you in? Are you buying a vape cart versus buying flower? Right? Just a little clarification. Again, today with legal regulatory structures in place, what happens is guys that are trying to make a buck at a commercial scale, sometimes they cut corners. They don't flush their pot all the way.
Who knows when it was planted? If it's kind of like when the plant got harvested, if it was starting to go kind of wilted already, if it was just starting to go perishable.
So with respect to that, right? Like, they can take older flower that maybe it's starting to turn a little bit. They can go take that and run that through some extraction process and make that into vape carts and stuff like that, right? But for the most part, like, I think it just depends on where you're at and why you're experiencing what you're experiencing is really all. Like, you can see big THC numbers on something that tests high, but it could be done in some not so great looking flower. So, I think it's just really where you're at, John. Curious though, let us know.
Yeah, if you have any more to add to that conversation, let's go and do that. In the meantime, Darren, we should go ahead and enter our guest into the fray.
We absolutely should. So our guest is a cannabis journalist and enthusiast who is a regular contributor to the likes of Benzinga, Insider, Green Entrepreneur. She's interviewed over 100 different cannabis brands and growers, and she also represents a publication designed to familiarize readers with top products that help them find the brands that fit their needs and provide timely information about the craft cannabis culture. She joined us on Blunt Business with Brasco last November. And of course, because she's sitting in an ongoing military conflict in Ukraine that we covered last week, we've asked her to come back and to join us today. I am so grateful for this. We want to welcome back Tia Moskalenko, the communications manager of Ask Growers, whose home base is in Kiev. Tia, welcome.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate this. Hey, everyone.
It's great to see you in good spirits, especially with what's going on there. It's wonderful to go and see you have a smile on your face, and there's obviously a feeling of hope of things that are trying to turn their way around. Some of the news has been said about how there's been chances for people that need to go ahead and get away from the country. They're trying to. There have been discussions. How far they're going, we have to find out and see. But obviously, people want to see an end to this at some point.
Right. So yeah, I'm still staying in the country, and my parents still think that I'm a little bit crazy because I'm staying in the country and I'm not moving to Poland or Slovakia or any other countries. But I still think that we still have a hope, and we still are doing our best job. And I don't think that I need to flee to any other countries. So this is my position right now. Maybe I will be wrong in a year or two, or maybe that's going to be history. But still, this is my position right now. So,
and you're in Kiev at this moment.
I was in Kiev to from Kiev driving a car from there. It's my boyfriend's house, and we're right now here because, as you know, and as everyone knows here, that Kiev is bombarding, and everything is going on there. It's just like, I don't know. I don't even, I don't have any words to explain Kiev, because this is just crazy what's going on there. And yeah, we moved from there during the second day, and right now we're hoping that everything will gonna be all right. And we are supporting all the Ukrainian army and Ukrainian forces. So they are fighting, so they are standing for Ukraine. And
there's a
yeah.
lot of resolution by the military, by the president there, to obviously, stand strong against this unformidable attack. I can imagine. So, I want to go and get into a story where you actually, to the cannabis industry, you
Mhm.
actually took the time to write an article for Cannabis Tech to
Mhm.
inform readers about the crisis in Ukraine. I want to take a passage of what you wrote. Quote, after days of fighting in Ukraine, Russian forces are not in the situation to say things are going well, just the opposite. The two largest cities in Ukraine, Kiev and Kharkiv, are under the country's control. On the other hand, Russia's lost around 150 tanks and over 5,300 troops. As information keeps coming from Ukraine, including thousands of videos, it seems that Russia is losing the war. The mobilization around the country has made many civilians fight as best as they can with what they have. Many picked up the weapons and started to fight back, right on the streets and roads of their country. One thing is certain: Ukrainians don't plan to stand back and watch the catastrophe unfold. They will keep fighting, end quote. So, since the article you wrote, is there anything you could tell us about what you're learning from, you know, fellow countrymen right there where you are, how their feelings about things right now, their resolution along with the country to stand strong and to defend.
I want to get back to the things you just said, that all the things that we are doing right now in Ukraine, we're actually keep fighting, and we're keeping actually all the territories and everything that is going on here in Ukraine. We are keeping all the things that is ours, and we keep fighting all besides the Russia. So right now we want to defend ourselves, and just like you said, so we just want to keep our people safe, and it doesn't matter where they come and where they go. Actually, we just want our people to be safe, because as you actually know, right now they're killing civilians, they're killing children. I don't know what kind of war it is right now, because how come people are killing civilians, are killing children? This is something, I don't really get this. Really, and it's not only me who does not understand this. It's our president, Vladimir Zelensky. It's my mother, my father, all of my people here in Ukraine. They do not really get this. And right now, all that we want is just to protect ourselves. And that's about that.
Yeah. It's unspeakable.
It's absolutely unspeakable. And, Tia, when we see over here, we see on social media, on our news channels, we see many accounts of civilian Ukrainians, mothers and grandmothers, standing up to Russian soldiers, telling them to get out, throwing rocks at them. Are you seeing stuff like this? Are you hearing, that ordinary people are willing to just take up arms and go resist?
I had a call today with my friend who actually stayed in Kiev for like 13 days. And her name is Margarita. And she told me, like, this is something crazy. You don't just want to see that. You just don't want to hear that, because this is like 13 days of bombarding, and you cannot even sleep because you actually hear that. How actually people are bombarding. You're not actually able to go to the shop to get any bread or to get any milk or to get any water. This is something crazy. And she's telling me that I was that crazy. So I just decided to go back to central Ukraine.
Wow.
And she was like, I was so shocked because guys, there are like not that many trains are traveling to the central Ukraine. And all trains right now actually traveling to the west of Ukraine. So to get back people over there, to get them back from all the stuff that's going on in Ukraine.
Right.
And I was so worried about her. And she told me like yesterday, okay, I'm at home. I was so worried. I was crying all the evening yesterday because I thought that, I thought that she would never get back to home. Never. Yeah. And I was crying all the time, like 1.5 of the hour. I didn't even think that we could even imagine this kind of situation, that I could even cry because of my friend going back to her home. This is something crazy. And I don't think that we should actually express this. We don't think that we should actually think about this, because this is crazy,
It's something about the history of where previous generations, they remember what was like in 1990, 1991, when Ukraine got their independence from the Soviet Union, and knowing that this is a familiar territory, and there's more of resolve to not let the Russian oligarch, just to let that happen again for this country. They fought so hard to free themselves of this large superpower, to not let them come back in and attack again. It's just, it's something to be said about that. Yeah. The other thing I want to ask about, I want to transition into where the businesses are right now, because if anybody doesn't know about Ukraine, there's a lot of technology companies. There's a lot of great people, a lot of great workers, a lot of great companies that are also based there. So I want to take now what's been affecting the cannabis industry. Well, I talked about on the Facebook Live show last week in regards to the European market and the world economy in general. But I want to know about what it is right now about the companies based in Ukraine and have been dealing with. And we came across there was a profile on Forbes about Ask Growers. That's really what got me to absolutely reach out to you about this. They wrote, quote, Kiev boasts a booming tech industry, according to Fast Company, with well-known companies like Grammarly, Riedel, and McPaw, all based in the capital. Google, Ring, Oracle, Snap, all have significant workforces in Ukraine. Staffing for Wix, Lyft, and Uber. These are all major companies. Are all there. Now, among your own team, you have, you know, a lot of information coming to you to your site, which is based in Ukraine. 250,000 monthly listeners. You have a database of over 5,200 strains, 20 different metrics provided by readers, interviews with various people, options for other companies, and for Ask Growers themselves. Talk to me about the disruptions your team have encountered, and what's the gauge of your team morale at this point?
Yeah.
You mentioned a really good point. Like maybe just like 20 seconds ago. What we did with Ask Growers, we're not just the cannabis company. We're not just like doing anything for our goods. What we did, it's actually basically for all the people who actually want to do all the best for themselves. Actually, that's about that. Mm-hmm. Eventually. And what we wanted to do, if people want to relax, if people want to find anything that could have any potential for them to relax and just have enough of sleep and wake up, and they would understand that they just had enough of relaxation. That's about us. That's about Ask Growers. And if you search anything on our website, that's about that. And right now, I think it's not that you're searching for something that you want to find something about cannabis or something like that, but it's something about to find the relaxation, right? It's something to find something that you feel comfortable about and you feel calm. So I'm not sure if I answer your question, but I think it's.
I thought.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I think the thing is that there's a lot of compassion between your team and what's going on there. And I want to just reference from what somebody that works for marketing and public relations for your team, Lana Braslavskia, and she mentioned that the majority of the team at this time 2 weeks ago, that there was a number of workers that were still in Kiev, the content manager being in Odessa, and your SEO specialist was cut off from returning home to Kiev and this in the Russian-occupied territory near Chernobyl. You've other employees that have moved abroad, and others that have been unable to return to their families in Ukraine. When you were talking to us before we got on, you made mention of that. You mentioned here on the program about the idea of going to Poland or going to Slovakia, somewhere else to find shelter. But in the meantime, everybody's trying to move along. If they're able to find shelter somewhere, they're trying to hunker down, find a safe space to be at, and continue to still try to function, with for the rest of the world. Have you been able to keep in contact with your team, and how are they doing so far?
I was just saying, sorry for interrupting you guys. So as far as I know, Lana, I'm not sure if she's in Poland, but I'm right now the fact that I'm gonna move to Slovakia or to Poland or somewhere out there. We right now on our project we have a bunch of places when we can actually stay and negotiate afterwards. So it doesn't matter when you actually, where and when you actually negotiate and where you actually at. So if you do your work, it doesn't matter. You do your work, right? So I think that it doesn't matter where Lana is, when I am, or where our project managers are. I think if we are doing our job and if we are doing all the best we can do, this is the best we can do. This is the best situation we can offer to our website and for all the people we're managing, right?
Yeah.
Well, Tia, can I tell you, I am so grateful that you took the time to jump on with us. I want to, from all of our team here in the States, I want to wish you, your boyfriend, your family, and of course, everyone at Ask Growers, everyone that you know that, they are wondering what the next moment is going to be like. We send you our heartfelt prayers. And if there's anything that we can do, please do not hesitate to use us as a resource.
And hopefully we can get back to you and connect with you again under better circumstances.
Absolutely.
Please, prayers and thoughts for your family and their safety, okay? And your friends.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate this. Thank you so much.
Thanks for getting the word out. God bless. Stay safe.
Folks, we have come down to another one. Brasco, we've got a couple of shows that have dropped over the past week.
Yeah, a couple of things I wanted to make a mention of. On Grassroots Marketing, Eben Sumner I got to talk to, the Maine Growers Alliance, and it was about the fight for keeping cannabis as a viable business. Because if you hear the kind of things that we talked about, it's a matter of when legalization comes in federally, you need to look at examples like what's happening in California, what's happening in Maine, and the kind of overreach that cannabis control boards want to enact. The idea that they want to have one particular seed to sale compliance tracking system in place when there's a lot of companies that can't afford it because just too much. But there should be other options for people to have. So it's a matter of basically pricing out the smaller craft cannabis growers. That's what it comes down to. That's what we talked to Evan about on that program. And then on Blood Business, we got to learn about Mike Tyson's first foray in the cannabis industry. We know we talked about him briefly about when you got to go see him at Cannadelic a few weeks ago. Tyson 2.0 is the product, and we're talking to the folks that are behind the launch of it, Adam Wilkes and Chad Bronstein, about that. Great stuff. And Mike Tyson, when you hear about it, he is so entrenched in the project. He's not one of those that's behind the scenes. He's entrenched in every little nook and cranny of what's going on with this product.
Yeah,
and he believes in it wholeheartedly.
And he loves that toad.
He does.
If you're watching this and you don't know what the toad is, you're going to have to look up Mike Tyson and the toad. It's kind of interesting. Brasco, if you've got nothing else, I want to thank you for taking a half hour.
No, just want to thank Tia Moskalink for being on all this. She was a delight. And obviously, we've talked to some other people out there that have been in Ukraine for some other programs we do. And I'll tell you, her spirit and her positive attitude towards it, her hope, it's really inspiring.
I know it's the resilience there, and you can see. I mean, I feel for her, and you could see the nerves. I can't even imagine what she's going through. So, from all of us over here to all of you over there, we give you our hearts and our support. And if there's anything we can do, don't hesitate to reach out on social media, folks. Thanks once again. Make sure you like us and follow us on Instagram, on Facebook. Of course, share this out with all your friends. And of course, next week we'll be right here at the same time next Tuesday for another episode of Cannabis Radio Live. See you next week, folks.